Okay, I think we can get started. Thank you, everybody. So, a lot of events have happened in just the last week. Just so many to name. I'm sure we'll cover many of them. But I guess the question for you all is are you more bullish now with Tesla, given what happened on the political front? Elon endorsing Trump, that alone, seeing the markets rise and even Tesla stock rise. The move of 8.8 was initially seen as a negative, but I think generally most, including the institutional investors, the big money, think that that's now a positive, especially now that Elon has confirmed the reasons why he moved it. There's just a number of other things. I think last week's China numbers came out. Tesla sales there has stabilized. It's looking like a decent economy is forming again. So let's start with that question. Jeff, are you feeling more or less bullish given what's happened in just the last week?
Hey, Herbert, hey, everyone. I'm definitely feeling bullish. But it's not the end of the world. I think when you look back on the advent and scale of robotaxi, 3 years from now, 2 years from now, no one's going to remember August to October, or whatever the new date for the event is. If it's really only a 60-day or 8-week push out, it's not a big deal. I am more interested in what the change is and why it took 8 weeks. Tesla's got extrusion capability. They've got machining capability. They've got their own tool shop. I don't understand what took 8 weeks. I think to me that's interesting. Just from my background.
Jeff,
if you're trying to make
can you expand on it? Because I'm actually curious what you think is something that could take 2 months.
Well, maybe we can talk about it in a bit. I don't know. To me, if you're making a model for an event, even if it's a functional model, I don't understand why. I don't understand the change that would require, unless they're adding material and they're not removing material. That could be one piece of it. We'd just be wildly speculating. But when I look at Tesla is not a standard automaker. They have things inside of their four walls of their factories that other automakers don't have the ability and scale that Tesla has to do some of these things. So they make a lot of their own parts, and by making a lot of your own parts, they've got tooling and die fabrication capability. They've got machining capability. They've got a lot of stuff. And even if they don't have it, in Austin, there's shops all around where you can go and get stuff modified. So I'm very interested in what the change is. But anyway, but getting back to your question, am I more bullish or not? The date moving out doesn't make me more bullish. That's a miss. But it's a miss in context. I don't think it's a huge deal. I think what's going to allow Tesla to get FSD more mature. I've always talked about these 4 or 5 or so, maybe even 6 tracks. If you think about that, all have to be ready for this event. You're thinking about the Cybercab itself. You're thinking about the software for that experience in the Cybercab. The visuals, maybe even some sort of AI or Grok element. Yet who knows? Obviously, the autonomy software, the ride-hailing app. That's the 4th thing, and then the 5th thing, to me, could be this whole partnership or licensing track that could be on its way. I'm not saying they delayed the event to secure a licensing deal. I'm just saying every month is, you're getting 1 month closer to that. And maybe the 6th rail of this whole thing is just on the regulatory front. Is there a city, a state, or something that they'll have approval by then that they wouldn't have had in August? I don't know. Just speculating. But there's when you're making a product of this complexity. When I say product, I mean a robotaxi network. There's these 6 or so it could be, you can even come up with more. But I've just come up with like the 6 big kind of trains that have to run on time, and somebody inside of Tesla has got to synchronize those trains. So when they snap a line and say, we're having the event, each one of those things is at a level of maturity that, that's passing Elon standards and will pass the shareholder standards of something that's, highly accretive. So that's where I'm kind of thinking right now.
Okay. And what about the economy though, right? So it seems that the market's looking at a higher chance of Trump presidency is going to improve both the markets as well as Tesla specifically.
People shouldn't get fooled by this, because the first snap reaction, I've seen a lot of energy stocks or a lot of green energy stocks go down. Everybody's scared about the IRA. Tesla's not built on the IRA. Tesla's built separate of the IRA. If the IRA was not there, Tesla would even be further advantaged relative to their competition. They would actually be in a better position than they are today. This IRA has been a lifeline for 7 kilowatt hour hybrid, batteries for hybrids and vehicles as such. It's been a lifeline for, product that's assembled in Mexico as part of NAFTA, where Teslas are assembled here at a different labor rate. It's been a lifeline for a number of different things that, I think if they left it, quite frankly, maybe, I don't know what they're going to do. It's, this is an act of Congress. This wasn't like a presidential executive order, but I just don't get twisted around the IRA and like Tesla going downhill if a Trump presidency. Tesla's built, for not having the IRA. Trump is pro deregulation. That's great for a company that makes complex things like automobiles and spaceships and so forth. So that's great for Tesla. And I think the most important thing is they're on friendly terms, and he's not going to be investigated 8 ways to Sunday, and a lot of that BS would stop. So I think that's the most important thing. And but there's many other reasons, and he's also pro tax cuts for corporations as well. So I mean, he's running on a premise that there'll be greater revenue if you allow these companies to keep more of their money and then be able to reinvest it. So we'll see. It's different economic policies, but in general, a Trump presidency would be good. It's not a foregone conclusion. A lot of these polls are tight. I know the swing state polls are doing much better for him, and I think there needs to be new polling in light of the recent events. But I don't think this is done one way or another. But but I think people just need to like relax about like a Republican administration and just like crushing companies that make green energy products. If you make a good product that people love and you make it profitably, you're going to do well.
Okay. Xander, what's your answer to that question? Are you more bullish given what's happened in the last week?
I don't like politics, but I am more bullish. The technicals was what guided me initially to start buying longer term leaps. But now that this has happened, and then you see Elon pulling SpaceX HQ from Hawthorne to Boca Chica, and you see what's going to happen with X and these policies. The I don't want to get political, but this is where we're at. Like this has gotten to a place where this woke mind virus thing has to stop. And what happens when the CEO is treated with this is not the most American automaker in America, and he's going to snap back, and he's going to make choices that are conducive to running a business that's in an environment that's going to make money and give jobs and do all the things that are very, very American. So uh, what has happened is going to make a lot of people realize, in my opinion, that we've got the pendulum has swung too far in one direction, and now it's on the way to swinging back in the other direction. I just recall how Elon stated how the leftmost 10% and the rightmost 10% will not be happy, but the 80% in between will support what is happening. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. To remind people, it's not just what happened in the weekend with the political scenario and Elon endorsing Trump. There's also, Elon saying that 12.5 of full self-driving is being tested right now. Model 3 long-range rear-wheel drive is a brand new car that's now available in the US, and it's an unbelievable under $35,000 if you consider the $7,500 federal tax credit with 363-mile range. And then you also have the China numbers came in last week, and this is the highest second week of the quarter ever and the highest week of the quarter ever. This is information from Pololi, Roland Percher. So Landon, welcome. Thanks for jumping up here. What's your thoughts? What's your answer to
Hi,
that question?
friends. Hi, Herbert.
Hello.
Thanks for having
Yeah.
me. I'm excited about everything that we've been excited about for Tesla, regardless of they want us to pay attention to their political games, don't they? And they do have ramifications on our worlds, but I'd just prefer to try to hold that off to the side, like Xander was saying, if possible. But it's hard to stay away from it, isn't it? Because it part of our society. But yes, I want to admit, I am quite confused about the robotaxi cybercab event and the little nuggets of information that Elon gave us on the last earnings call about maybe moving some lower priced models based on 3 and Y that we would have details on here by the end of the year. So, should that be part of a cybercab event? I'm not sure it should or shouldn't be. We got people saying we're going to have a physical vehicle and others just saying it's going to be the application. So I've still got a lot of confusion about what we might see in October, if that's when it is.
I completely agree with you, Landon. I don't know what you actually said there, but I actually do not think that they're going to release or they're going to show any other thing other than the dedicated robotaxi. I don't know who started saying that. Yes, they're going to show the lower affordable cars are going to be revealed there. There's Larry, but he hasn't jumped up as a speaker. So who here thinks? Yeah, go ahead.
Hold on. So, I mean, how
Yeah.
could we say it's just going to be an application when you're
No.
delaying an event for physical
No, there'll be a
front end?
robo-taxi designed vehicle, but not these two lower, more affordable cars. Who said that they're going to be revealed?
Yeah, that's hopium, and people are going to speculate on what they're going to see. But I like to think about what is actually being communicated, and
Uh-oh.
what I'd like.
Larry
Yeah,
just
yeah.
came up a speaker. Oh, go ahead, Larry.
But
Well, I mean, I can't imagine that they won't have, both a robotaxi and the lower price car. So Elon, when he made the announcement about 8.8, said that they would have models with a plural. So I think you're wrong, Herbert. I will keep saying it until I'm proved wrong. In October or 8.10 or 10.8, whenever the meeting occurs. But I can't imagine they'll have this event without the vehicles there. And I think that as far as the political situation is concerned, I think that it's unfortunate that we're where we are. I think it would be a lot better if Elon didn't have to get into the political world, but that's where we are. And so, I'm supportive of him, but not crazy about the situation.
And then are you more bullish given everything that's happened in the last week?
Oh, well, your term of bullish is what the stock price will be tomorrow morning at 9:30.
Not true.
No, I haven't changed my view of Tesla. I don't think I've changed it 1 degree in the last 7 years or 8 years. Actually, it's more. It's probably closer to 8, 9 years now. So I'm very bullish on Tesla. I'm very bullish on SpaceX. I'm very bullish on Elon's companies, and I believe there will be interruption. There will be ups and downs, but I'm very, very bullish. So could I be more bullish? I doubt it. So yeah, I'm bullish.
All right. Welcome, Sat. What's your answer to that question?
Well, in terms of the Cybercab event,
I guess you can answer whichever. I'm asking, are you more bullish based on what has happened in the last week or two?
yeah, probably a little more bullish. In terms of the event, I think it's highly unlikely that they're going to unveil more than what was said. I don't think the other models, typically, historically, he really hasn't revealed more stuff. Maybe there may be one thing more, but I don't think it's gonna be like a full-fledged thing. So the only one I can remember is the semi truck and then the Roadster, but it was just to show the Roadster. So I don't think it's gonna be like that with the Cybercab. I think there's too many things because they have to go over the platform, the app, and then the vehicle itself. So I think that's already a lot to cover. So I think if it's going to be like a reference to something, if there is anything, that's what my hunch is. I don't think they're going to cover like a whole new 2 other models at the same time. In terms of the last week or so, yeah, probably politically, it seems like, yeah, it's going to be a little bit better. But yeah, I think Tesla is always going to do well though, because Elon's at the helm and making bold decisions. So regardless of what the political climate is, like, I mean, we've had a Democratic president for a long time, and Tesla has still survived, and thrived.
Okay. And then his comment that the reason why it's been delayed is because of he wanted to have important changes to the front. All right. When he said front, some people are actually thinking that means I assumed it meant the front of the car, right? As you know, where the lights are, as opposed to the front of the interior. That's what some people were saying, and I realized, oh gosh, didn't even think of that. How did you guys interpret that?
Well, I think he's done it. I posted it once. He already did it at least once, at least that's publicly known, on the Roadster. Uh, and the good design wasn't good enough in his eyes, and it could have been better. So instead of getting something that can just get by, which probably other vehicle programs do, which is the reason why they adds to the reason why they suffer from not being able to make a profit, is that if there's something wrong with it and it's not up to standard, then he's willing to stop production and then or the process of designing it and go back to the step 1 for that section. And that's what makes it, I know that I could have confidence in why he's doing that. Is probably going to make that vehicle way better because he sees something wrong with it and he's willing to take that time. Most programs like that, it's like, oh, full steam ahead, we're not going to change it, it's just going to go. It's like, you're not going to have a visionary CEO that say, okay, let's stop it, go back and then delay everything. And so and then get the product actually executed. So I feel more confident when he does that because it shows that he's working with a different standard and he's trying to meet a certain standard. But it's not kind of like wishful thinking.
It can't be a design thing. I mean, Franz has been working on this for a long time, and it's not like it's got to be something that is an important change, not just I think it looks nicer if it was shaped this way.
Well, yeah, I don't think it's it looks nicer. From what we heard through the rumor mill, it was like what if this crazy idea and the engineers go, jaw to the ground and like it, they want to do it, but we have this date upcoming, so it's going to take 2 months. You know what? Let's do it. And so it seems like it just happened and it wasn't intentional, but that is the superior product. So who cares about market perception?
I invited Warren to join this. He might just do it when he wakes up. But do you guys, I think that his source is valid? How do we know that, why would they contact Warren? How would this all happen?
I don't recommend. I don't think. Well, it's a great question, Herbert. I don't think it's appropriate to discuss leaks from inside of the company. I know Tesla wouldn't want it. I don't think we should be speculating on it. Just my opinion. If others want to talk about it, they can.
Okay. Well, okay. So that I wanted to ask that first question. Are you guys more bullish? So many things did happen in the last 2 weeks. The other thing, of course, was the stock jumped up. And by most accounts, the way this explained to me that it's driven by institutional firms. The volume is just tremendously, much higher than usual. It had to be. And then you do see one after another, of institutional firms raising their price targets. Of course, they have to do that. They're just following it because they just look ridiculous at this point. But the other part is that you do see more and more notes. The most recent one was Morgan Stanley, and he always drops notes. And just a week ago, he talked about Tesla Energy being worth more than Tesla Auto. So you're seeing more, like they can't ignore it anymore, right? They have to talk about energy. They have to model it out. And so now Tesla's no longer a car company. So when I was asking you guys, what has happened in the last 2 weeks? Yes, we all knew that Tesla was an energy company a year ago, but now institutional firms, which hold the big bucks, they are now saying it as well. And then you'll start hearing them talking about Tesla as an autonomy company as well. So what's your thoughts on that? Do you think that they're finally caught up, or are they still woefully behind?
Behind. I mean, they're taking $180 price targets and updating them to 270 when the stock hits 270. So most of them are behind. I think Wedbush, Morgan Stanley is kind of stuck to their, a little bit higher price target. So I think Wedbush probably has to increase theirs again. But yeah, in general, they're behind. And it takes a level of modeling and understanding of what Tesla is doing that you can't just like download the earnings report and then make your price target based off of just downloading the earnings report or looking at a Bloomberg terminal. I think if you rely on kind of like those two things, I think you're going to be chasing kind of one way or another. So I think that's fundamentally the problem. They're behind.
And then did you guys hear that Kathy Wood, an ARK Invest, she was interviewed just recently, a few days ago, I think before Elon talked about, that clarified what's happening with the robotaxi event. But she has, normally they have a rule where they have to start selling Tesla stock after 10%. Now that it's jumped so much, it's now 16%, and she's holding on to it. I know, Larry, you like her. I wonder what the others here on the panel think about ARK Invest. What's your thoughts about that, Larry, that she's actually so bullish at this point that she's, not selling at this point?
Yeah, they're consumer traders at ARK. Their stock is not doing well right now because the category that they're in is just not doing well. But within their category, they trade their stocks, and they're consumer traders. That's their background, and that's where they've come from. So they really traded Tesla extremely well. In the first run up to the 400, they did incredibly well, made a lot of profit in their trading, and the fact that they're hanging on at this point is a very good indicator. It generally means that there's about to be a jump. Well, there's already been a jump that they've been through. So yeah, I think there's that's an indicator. That's a bullish indicator for short-term trading if you're interested in that kind of stuff. So they've always stuck to they've generally stuck to the 10%. It's not a hard and fast rule. They don't have it. It's not kind of an obligatory situation, but it's a guidance situation. But it'll be interesting to see when they do actually move it back to the 10%. When they do take profits, it'll be interesting to see at what point they do that.
Okay. The other thing that happened just the last few days is, you guys see this, that the traders are now giving 100% chance that there's going to be a rate cut in September. I've never seen somebody, that saying it's 100% chance at this point. Jeff, did you want to address that? Sorry, Larry, were you going to jump on?
It's quite clear that something is going to have to happen. And obviously the current administration is going to put a lot of pressure on the Fed. There's going to be a lot of social pressure on the Fed as well. But it should be very clear from the employment numbers that we are definitely, that the risk is to the downside at the moment. So once the risk is on the downside, it seems that there's a strong, there must be a strong pressure. There must be strong pressure on the Fed to relax. So I would align with that. I personally think the economy is in a worse shape than the Fed makes it out to be, and I think they're actually a little late. I think they should have moved earlier. I think they're a little late. So I'm almost certain that there's going to be a move. But that will be very good for Tesla, but it's going to be good for a lot of stocks. So will they move positive relative to the rest of the market? That's hard to say, but it's positive nonetheless for the stock. Does that make
Yeah, and it's also like, what's the magnitude of the move too? Like, do they just go and do a half point like right away versus just doing these small? I think people are like resigned to them doing like quarter point reductions, but could they just go in and do half point reduction? Trump was just, I guess there was just an embargoed interview that just was released. He just did with Bloomberg, and I think at the end of June, and they asked him, what his thoughts were on Powell, and should he finish out his term? And he actually said he would be inclined to support that. So obviously that could change. But he also said that he said that it's probably not, between here and the election, 16 weeks, not appropriate to cut rates. Found that to be interesting. But I think that hopefully the Fed will just act independently and just say, here's a data-driven decision. We're doing it. This is why, and do it. I think it is appropriate to do it.
Right. I think Powell's position with Trump is very solid because Powell did well for Trump during Trump's tenure. And I think there's a really good relationship between them. So I don't think there's a risk there if he made an early move. I think it would be understood, on both sides of the table. So I think that's not the great risk. Can I hark back to this whole question of what they're going to show on the 810 or 88 or whenever it's going to be?
Yeah, because I was about to go back there too. So go ahead.
Yeah. So, Lars in the last earnings call talked about our mission to get the most affordable cars to customers as fast as possible. He said, these new vehicles we built on our existing lines and open capacity, and that's a major shift to utilize all our capacity with marginal capex before we go and spend high capex. And he was talking about updating our future vehicle lineup to accelerate the launch of our low-cost vehicles. And then Elon responded, said, yeah, we'll talk more about this on August the 8th. So I'm absolutely convinced that they're going to talk about their lineup as a whole.
Not show, but okay. We'll see, Larry.
I don't think so. And okay, we'll have a friendly bet. And the reason is they're not ready for production. So what are you going to say? And then what are you going to do to your existing 3Y order book if you're talking about vehicles that could be, $5,000 cheaper? People will wait 6 months.
Therein, Jeff, lies the clue to why this is delayed, not the front of the car, the front of the wave. I mean, the reason for this delay is they realize 88 is too early. What they talked about is these new vehicles possibly coming early in the year of 2025. And so if you think about it, if they have a November event, just like they had for the Cybertruck, November, December event for the for the new lineup, and then the introduction in January, February, it's almost a perfect deal. Now, yeah, they'll probably have to run deals through December, for the Model 3, although the Model 3 is so affordable right now, it's ridiculous. So I think that's what's
Oh, I can see that. Okay. So if the event's in November, I mean, then I could be leaning more towards them showing
Yeah.
those vehicles, and I think the pitch could be is like, look, right now and who knows how this would work, but I think there's some certainty with the IRA credit,
Yep.
through the end of the
Yep.
year and into probably through the first quarter of next year, and so there's your existing 3 and Y will get those credits.
Right.
And great, if these next vehicles are probably going to be on the order of $5,000 to $6,000 lower to build, and that would be Tesla's way of giving themselves an insurance policy if the IRA is gone. They've got the basically the replacement for the 3 and Y, or they've got vehicles in that price tier that could live where the 3 and Y do with the credit.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jeff, you fell for Larry's charm.
Herbert, this is why I'm here. This is what I wanted Larry to say. This is the only
You
reasonable.
agree?
Oh, absolutely. This is Elon said we're going to see these new products. I think it'll be one product. I think it'll be jumping ahead of the Rivian R3X kind of little Baja off-roader kind of thing, and it'll be a smaller version of the Model Y. If you let me speculate out there before anybody else gets a chance to, that's what I think is good for the market and good for Tesla and utilizing the current factories. What are we doing with Mexico? Mexico is still just sitting down there. We've got Brian down there touring the place, but we need to come up with a plan for Mexico, and this could slot right in there for the future. Not to get it on the road, but what you do when you want to get to super volume numbers.
So are we saying that don't expect it in October? Now we're going to push it back even further? Is that what I'm reading here?
Well, Larry said November. November,
we don't have any
October is
date.
pretty much the same deal, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, we don't have any
it's a
date.
classic Tesla deal. I mean, they're saying October. They probably know that already that it's November. We've lived this it's amazing to me. We've lived this so many years. It's amazing people don't kind of get it. And why would they introduce one car when they're going to introduce just another car like a month or two later? It makes no sense at all. No sense.
Well, come on, Larry. Let me explain why it makes no sense at all to show multiple vehicles when this is a robo-taxi event. This is a robotaxi reveal event. This is about turning the a company from a car company, from auto sales, to a subscription ride-hailing company, completely changing the business. This is how he does it. Big, giant explanation and showing off. And then oh, by the way, we're still going to sell more cars. Yes, they are. But that's not, you're going to take away from that. When he said requested what I think is an important design change to the front, and extra time allows us to show off a few other things. You took that to mean a few other vehicles. Okay. I don't. I see that as, new other demos, but that's like a nice plus, not a massive. I don't know. Okay, I'm.
Well, Herbert, right? You know that Elon and Lars have both alluded to these new vehicles, smaller
Yes,
vehicles, cheaper
they have.
vehicles. So when are they going to reveal them if not at this
Separate
event? Why
events.
would you have multiple events?
It's separate events, and just like Jeff was saying, because these are cars that will be sold, as soon as you reveal it, you want people to take orders of it and start buying it, and they'll be done within a month. You don't want to have any Osborning, so this is not going to happen. There's no need for a product reveal for this product because it's just on the same production line. I think it's much more of a okay. I don't know. I just when he says maybe end of for this quarter, he initially first said it was first quarter of next year, right? And then he goes maybe by this. I just don't think that that's likely.
We're just speculating. The other thing is if this push out from August to October, that was from that Bloomberg article, right? So if that was inappropriately leaked by an employee, typically when you do these events, you give the engineering teams and production teams a target that's a couple of weeks before, a month before the event to be pencils down and done and your parts in and everything checked out and good. So that wouldn't surprise me if that, if the event was, closer to November. But anyway, we'll see what happens when it happens. I mean, all these things have to be introduced here pretty soon. You also have the Roadster there. I know it's a much smaller volume, but that was also potentially promised for a reveal by the end of the year. So you have kind of all these things coming together.
And this is how we get out of the valley, right? They said we're in the valley between major production ramps, and we all want to get out of the valley. We're ready to get out of the damn valley, but we're not out of the valley yet, and we have to be sometimes patient and watch our investment grow. Isn't that what bulls like to do?
It sounds like I know exactly what date it's going to be. 12/9, guys. It's December 9th. This is sounding like a 12/9 conspiracy. Remember when we got all excited about that? Oh, gosh. Not going to happen, guys.
What do you mean? Everyone just invested this year. Nobody knows what you're talking about.
I know. That's right. That's for us oldies. Exciting. That was fun. Okay, well, we'll see what happens. And it's not a friendly bet with you, Larry. Jeff could be friendly, but mine is not friendly. We'll see what happens. We'll duke it out together.
I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.